So everyone knows Carlsbad for the beautiful beaches, gorgeous weather. You had Carlsbad Village, just the vibe here. And that's how it looks on paper. And honestly, it is for a lot of people, but vacationing here in Carlsbad's a lot different than when you're actually living here.
So before you start thinking about packing up your life and moving here to Carlsbad, you gotta get past that postcard image of what it looks like here. There is a lot of great, but with that, there are some negatives. Sticker shock, not just housing prices, but other things that go into that, and the craziness that happens here in Carlsbad during the summer.
And so if you don't know about these 7 things, you might end up regretting moving out here to Carlsbad. Today, we're gonna dive into the 7 things you gotta know before packing up and moving out here to Carlsbad, California.
First up, Carlsbad beaches aren't as perfect as people think. There is a lot more than just what you see in our B-roll that we're showing you here, what you see in tourism videos of Carlsbad. There are some negatives. So there are some times of year where we don't have a ton of sand, where a lot of rock comes in. So getting to the ocean is a little bit tougher. The water temperature here, although it looks gorgeous and sunny and white sand beaches, or gray sand beaches sometimes, the water temperature doesn't get that warm. I'd say 70, 72 is kind of
max. Like I remember a few years ago, it was like got up to 75 or something like that. Totally trunkable, just cruising out there, going surfing and stuff. I actually lived down south in Pacific Beach at the time. It was probably more than a decade ago now, but it has happened a few times up here, but it's very rare. It's not the tropics.
No.
Like you were just in Florida. Was it warm out there?
The water was kind of chilly. Too, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. So I mean,
like
it's
Florida
similar
right
to that. Yeah, exactly. Florida, the difference is that Florida gets up into the 80s during the summer and stuff. And then the, air is hot and it's humid and all that. Here, we don't get a lot of that. When it's warm here, the water's still going to be high 60s, low 70s. So just something to think about. I mean, it is refreshing when it is
kids don't care about it.
No, kids don't. Yeah,
they're in it the whole time.
Exactly. And it's easy to put on a small, a shorty wetsuit or something like that too. So, but it's not Hawaii.
Yeah,
let's put it that way.
And I think one of the things back to like the rocks, and so like during winter times, the storms come in and they take all the sand and move it offshore a little bit. And so you have a bunch of sandbars, which is actually kind of good for surfing, but also takes like huge, I'm just thinking of Ponto. So that's one of the beaches we go a lot, south of Carlsbad. And there's like a ton of beach rock. It's like, try to lay down a towel, you can't. There's beach rock. And it's kind of weird because it kind of goes up a hill, like it's a little steep incline. And then there's a lot of beach out here. But it's not like beautiful sand beaches all the time. A lot of times these things come in, storms come in, high tides come in, wash a lot of that sand off and just make a lot of the beaches not unusable, but a little bit more uncomfortable. Now, it's not exactly like Encinitas down to the south where you have giant cliffs. There's a few like Terramar and stuff like that. A few other these things out here, beach etiquette. Like there's beach etiquette that you'll learn when you get here. Not everybody follows it. A lot of people, I live in Encinitas, so we're at the beach a lot. A lot of these inlanders come into the beaches during the weekends or whatever. And the beach etiquette, setting up right in front of somebody, just give people a little bit of space. You're not going to find that all the time. There's, once again, back to Ponto, and just bringing that one up because that's where we're at a lot. There's a hotel. I don't know which one. It's right on Coast Highway. But they come down and they set up like lawn chairs and take up like huge portions of the beach. And that's kind of rare out here. All the beaches are public out here, where I'm using Florida as an example because I remember when I went out there we've been out there a handful of times, a lot of the beaches are private. Out here, everything's public, which is great. But you do find sometimes where beach etiquette is not the best. Like people are like setting up
right in front of you.
You're like, dude, come on, guys.
Yep.
There's plenty of beach. Nonetheless, also during the summer times, a lot of tourists come in. Parking gets, a bit of a hassle, which brings us to our next point, which is the tourism takeover that happens right here in Carlsbad. A lot of times during summer, but it does happen kind of year round as well. And part of the reason the tourism is so big in Carlsbad, it's actually, I was reading, it was like the second biggest economy in San Diego County as far as cities go. I'm assuming San Diego City is the biggest. Next comes Carlsbad. A lot of that is due to tourism. And they have it set up where, you'd have a lot of resorts, a lot of hotels, a lot of build out for this resort style living. If you look down to the south, Encinitas, you're not going to find basically maybe 1 or 2 hotels. But up there in Carlsbad, you're going to find a ton. Oceanside's built out. They have a ton of oceanfront, not a ton, but newly built oceanfront hotels. So that's going to be up and coming as well. But Carlsbad is right now probably one of the biggest tourism spots right here in North County, San Diego. You have Legoland. Huge tourism goes there, yearly round. If you're living here too, get a yearly pass and go on the off times when it's not too busy, which is a huge bonus. That's what we've done. Kids are kind of growing out of it now, but it was super fun while that was happening. You have a few of the bigger resorts. You have Aviara, big golf course resort right in the center or in the southern portion of Carlsbad. You have the Omni La Costa, which is another huge one. You've been there.
Yeah.
Tell them what that one is.
Restaurants.
I've been,
Yeah.
but I haven't like stayed there.
Yeah, restaurants. I mean, Bob's Steak and Shop is one of our family's favorites. You have the pool facilities, which you can actually get resort pass. You can do day passes there. There's a big spa. I think there's 2 golf courses, right?
Yep, 2. They just redid at least the north course.
Yep. And then you can be a golf member, but you can also be a tennis member too, or join the gym there too. So Omni has a lot to offer. So during this time also, restaurants get a little bit more crowded, but it really is in that coastal zone where you have a lot of the hotels, a lot of that infrastructure, a lot of the restaurants in the village and kind of in that coastal region. They're going to get a lot more crowded during the summer. So, you can look at like a 30, 45 minute, maybe hour wait in some cases. It's really one of the places that you probably want to get reservations if the restaurant takes them. But it also is really just focused in that area. So if you're moving a little bit further inland or a little bit further south, we can get into those neighborhoods with you. So definitely reach out and we can kind of dive into some of those areas where you can have those amenities, use those amenities, but you're not right in the heart of all that tourism during the summer.
And with all that, it goes back to the beaches. It's parking's insane down there. Even not during tourism season, just during summer times. I guess that's the tourism season, but during the summer times, like certain stretches of Carlsbad, the coast, back to point number 1, there's not a ton of like big parking lots. It's like parking right on Coast Highway. There's a little one at Tamarack. There's a few little spots. I mean, we have our little spots where we go and we know, but the campgrounds take up a huge portion of the coastline there. So once you add tourisms to the actual local population, it gets a mess there. Short-term vacation rentals are basically only in the coastal zone. And there's a map that kind of outlines, it's like, the village down there goes up Carlsbad Village Drive a little bit. It goes along the coast a little bit. And then once you get down south a little bit, it does cut in. So there's a bigger area just down, the southern zip code. And then the Omni Resort allows it as well. So it's like a little island off to the side. But there are certain areas that don't allow any of that as well.
Next up is the May Gray and June Gloom reality check. It is a real thing. So in kind of our beginning of our summer months, when you think that it's going to start getting even sunnier and prettier out, it gets a little gloomier out. So, and it's a lot of San Diego County. It's a lot of just that coastal region that kind of gets hit the hardest, but it's going to be foggy for a week at a time, or it's going to be
not necessarily foggy, but like overcast.
Yeah. Like
you'll get some fog too, but like low hanging, just super gray clouds. There's like no color in the sky. Like right now we're looking at clouds and it's gorgeous. There's like white clouds. There's like, some clouds over here that are looking good, but this is just like a sheet of gray.
Forever. Yeah. And it is just kind of gloomy. That's what it is. It's a little bit wetter sometimes too. So it is a real thing. It does tend to burn off if you live a little bit further inland. So like the zip codes that are on the coast, 92008 and 011, add an extra 0 in there. Those will tend to be overcast a little bit longer, where it just starts to burn off a little faster as you go a little bit more inland.
And during this time, you're not really in those summer months yet. It's cooler, like Cassie said, overcast, a little gloomier, and it's a lot of time. Now, one thing we don't have is snow. I think the last time it snowed here, 1967, there was a little bit of snowfall. I know in Vista, I believe Carlsbad had about 2 inches as well. Grand folks used to live in Vista, and it was like, they showed us a picture, a little bit of snow in the car. So we don't have that. It's not getting that cold, but it's a little bit cooler. Next up's been a huge issue, not just for Carlsbad, but for all of San Diego, for all of California, is the fire insurance nightmares. And I think Carlsbad's one of the, I guess, most prone to what we're going to talk about, and its premiums rising, because Carlsbad as a whole, if you're comparing it to Encinitas, Vista, Oceanside, all the surrounding cities, it's got some of the most open space, which is great, right? You have this open space, getting outside, going on hikes. We're looking at some gorgeous views right now. We're standing right in one of the areas of La Costa. But as we're looking at these hills, a lot of these hills do add to the fire risk. So you get views, you get open space, you get a bunch of dry brush because we don't get a ton of rain here, adds to that fire risk. So over these past few years, we've seen insurance premiums go up, probably about double in a lot of cases, right? Like, and some of our buyers were helping out And then some of our sellers were actually comparing, okay, what's theirs to what the new buyers are, so we can, tell you guys what's going on. And there was a house in Carlsbad. It was in a high fire zone, but it wasn't even on a canyon. It was within a neighborhood on top of a hill, surrounded by houses, right? When was it built? Early 2000s. Yeah. So it was, a little bit higher fire standards than the old 70s, 80s homes. Their insurance was about $2,500 when they were paying. The new buyer came in and got a quote. It was about $5,800, somewhere in there. And so you can see, obviously, bigger houses, you're going to get more insurance. That's for a year as well. So if you break that down to monthly, it could be a few hundred extra bucks a month. It's not necessarily you're not going to get insurance. It just comes down to like, what's the cost? Who's the provider? California does have the FAIR plan, which is like the insurer of last resort. It's a very minimal policy. You're not insuring everything, but if you can't find insurance and you're in a high fire zone, then you can go to them. You can still get it. We haven't had to come across that.
No.
People have got quotes, but we haven't actually had to go through that.
And you're looking at a lot of like the smaller insurance companies. So you're the State Farms, the Farmers, all those companies left California or are not issuing new policies. So those guys are gone. So a lot of the companies that you're going to be seeing when you're talking to a broker or talking with an insurance provider are going to be some of those smaller companies. And like Chris said, it's not whether you can get it. You can get fire insurance, you can get homeowners insurance here. It's just what the cost of it is going to be and whether that's feasible.
And this one's real difficult to like, okay, hey guys, where's going to be a high fire zone? Now we can be like, okay, you see some hills over here, you see some hills, like all behind us.
All canyon.
This is going to be a high fire zone where we're at right now. But there's like CAL FIRE redid their maps, and you can see like where the higher wildfire risks are. But the insurance companies, they have their own parameters, they have their own maps, so they're going to go through that. So what we usually do is like, okay, you like this house, let's get in, start calling insurance providers, insurance brokers. We got some great connections here right away. Get those numbers just so there's no surprises as you are, going through the process.
Next up is another big one. A lot of people that reach out to us, they're like, we don't want to pay an HOA fee. We don't want to play Melrose. Well, in a lot of places you're going to. So the next one is the HOA and Melrose sticker shock here in Carlsbad is real. Like there are a lot of spots where the HOA fees have gone up a bunch.
Hit them with Melrose, just like a quick brief what it is. Everybody knows what HOA fees are, but what's like a little synopsis of Melrose? So this
is going to be all kind of newer communities. When the developers and builders are putting together these master plan communities, Aviara is the big one. La Costa Valley, where we're at right now, is another, or La Costa Oaks, is another big one, where they, instead of paying for all that infrastructure, instead of paying to run electrical, to put in
like
pipelines, instead of them paying out of pocket, they get a bond, which means they are putting that cost on the buyers of the new development.
So you'll see those on your property tax bill. It'll
show up as a CFD on your property tax bill, and it really just depends where you are. So I'm not in Carlsbad, but I live in a community where that CFD is a big number. It's almost doubles my property tax bill. But in some places, it's not as bad. So Aviara is like the main big HOA community here in Carlsbad that they've had one drop off because it's usually between 30 and 40 years is that bond length. So they lost a little bit of an expense. And then the other one is just not that much. It's, I think, $400 or $500 in kind of on average, and that's annually. So not a huge expense, but there are some communities where that is a big number.
And real quick, if you're looking on Zillow's, if you're looking on our search tool, wherever you're looking, sometimes you'll see HOA fees and they'll be combined in there, like a Melrose, just how people input it. They might have done it wrong, but it's not a monthly thing. Right here, you pay property taxes twice a year. A lot of times it's just in your loan. And so you're paying in an escrow account, whatever. We could break that down later. But, as you're running your numbers, you're going to want to break it down monthly to see what it would be monthly, but you actually pay it only twice a year.
Yeah, and then just for HOA fees, we have seen, and we just talked about fire insurance is a big reason. Yeah. We have seen a lot of HOA fees go up by a lot, mostly in condos. So like if you're looking at condos, we have some that have been aged here quite a bit. We have some from the 70s, 80s, and those buildings are getting old. So we've seen those HOA fees jump in just big numbers, like hundreds of dollars a month.
Throw out some numbers that we've seen right now.
So we have a client right now that we're helping them sell their house. They were when they bought in the 500s low 500s. Now their HOA fee is about $680 a month. So big jump. A big reason that it jumped so high is because there were some decks that need to be redone. There were some stairs that need to be redone. The elevator needed a ton of maintenance. There were things that were big ticket items that they didn't account for or didn't plan for. And that is really the big thing when you're looking at HOAs here, especially condos, because it doesn't really matter for just the community HOAs as much, but how well did they plan for future events? Have they planned for when they're going to replace the roof? Have they
I would say most, not that well.
Not that well. I know. A lot, the majority, not that well. So that's something too. We'll kind of walk you through as you're looking at areas. There are some HOAs we know that just don't have great reserves. And then it's something that you review during the purchase process. So just something to keep in mind.
And on top of that, they could also have assessments. So even if they have a high HOA fee, we're not talking so right now we're single family homes, these bigger homes, the HOA fee covers like the splash right over here, a little community amenities. So those aren't going to go up that much. Everybody's taking care of their own home. Once you get into some of the condo communities, let's say they did have a shortfall and they need a big project, a roof, decks, it could be anything, just deferred maintenance that hasn't been taken care of. There could be an assessment. That's just an additional cost. And typically they do it either a one-time payment, split it up into 4-time payments, finance. There's a lot of different ways that they take care of that. But when we're back to that condo, there's like a $10,000 assessment plus potentially another. It's just one thing to keep in mind in some of these older condos that you're looking at. The next one has to do with pests right here in Carlsbad, and some of these are Southern California, but definitely Carlsbad. I'm going through this in Encinitas as well, is the Argentine ant invasion. Now, I did a lot of reading on this because I'm trying to fight them in my house right now. They're just coming in from everywhere. It's a mess, but it happens in Carlsbad as well. And what I was reading is there's it's like a super colony in Southern California. I think it goes all the way up to San Luis Obispo. And then there's another super colony. The scientists did all this research. And up in, from like there up to the Bay Area of these ants. And they're not going to hurt you. They're not going to bite, whatever. But they'll find like any crack in your house. They'll find any way to get in. We've sealed up countless cracks in our home on baseboards and walls. At one point there was like a little tiny gap in our shower, like in the grout, coming through that, sealed that up. It's a nonstop fighting these little guys. And you might see like a few on your counter, and you're like, oh, whatever, go to bed, squish those guys. The next morning it's an army. They have like these huge trails going through your house. Do you have that problem too?
No.
Yeah, I don't know why. You're on a hill over there. That's why. When you get to the flatter areas. But anyways, it is a big thing that we see a lot here in certain parts of North County. Treat it. You can caulk a lot of these places. You could set out little traps. You can, I don't know.
Hire companies.
You can hire companies, but a lot of times, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the companies is the way to go.
It does work. I mean, I did for a long time. I did all of our pest control. I'll give you the tip if you want it. But my wife is afraid of spiders, definitely afraid of spiders. So that's why we have a company come out. But since we have had them come out, we have had no ant issues over the last 3 years.
Yeah, and then a few other pests. You have certain areas, like once you get by the lagoons, there's a few lagoons right here in Carlsbad and a few other little bodies of water. You might find some mosquitoes. Now we always, not always, but we have mentioned in the past, there's like no bugs here.
Essentially, there's no bugs.
Essentially, yeah. It's not like if you're watching a clip and you're seeing like lake in Minnesota, somebody hunting out there or whatever,
where
or
your
fishing.
arm gets like covered in bugs.
They're just like you get little bites here and there. So it's not a huge nuisance, but we'll see here to there. One other thing could be unique to where you're coming is termites. Termites, you're going to find them in most houses. Most people are only going to treat them when they sell a home, buy a home, etc. And it's not a huge deal. You get a termite inspection, go through, they're going to check out. It's not just termites, it's wood destroying organisms, funguses, that kind of stuff. Check out if there's any wood damage, anything active. If there is, they do have treatments, potentially tent, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like a huge deal. Houses aren't falling down. It's just something that it's one of the inspections we always get when we are going through the escrow or when we are going through the process right here in San Diego.
So another big reason that people move out to Carlsbad is the schools. So San Diego as a whole, really well known for having really good schools. Carlsbad is really well known for having good schools as well. And there is one issue though, and that is the school boundary confusion. If you're thinking about moving to Carlsbad and you're thinking, oh, it's Carlsbad School District, that's where I want to go. I want my kids to go to Sage Creek for high school. I want my kids to go to whatever elementary school in the Carlsbad district. You got to be very careful where you look, because For the most part, I'd say 2/3 of Carlsbad, that is the case. You are going to be going to Carlsbad School District in the 92011 zip code, in the 92010 zip code, and in the 92008 zip code. The confusion comes with 92009 because there are,
right now.
which yes, is we're exactly where we're at. And that's because it feeds into 3 school districts. And the boundary lines are kind of like, we're looking at community over there where you feed into San Marcos School District. We're in a community right now, you feed into Carlsbad School District. Right over the hill over here, you feed into the Encinitas and San Dieguito School District. So there is a lot of just having to look at the boundaries in here. All of these districts have their pluses, they have their negatives, but you just need to take a look, especially if you're looking in 92009. It is a big zip code. There are a lot of houses in this area. So if you are looking specific to Carlsbad, there's one little section that feeds to Carlsbad. If you're looking to go to San Marcos, there's another little section. So definitely something to take a look at if you are looking for schools specifically.
And we just did a vlog a few weeks ago on an area called Rancho Carrillo. It's in Carlsbad. Goes to the San Marcos School District. So if you guys are interested in that area, go check out that vlog. And we were walking right in front of the school, which is in the community of Rancho Carrillo.
Which is in Carlsbad.
Which is in Carlsbad. So it's not like you're that's for elementary. Once you get to middle school and high school, then you're going across the border to San Marcos to feed into the middle school and high school over there. Now, 3 quick bonus hits right here. Number 1 is going to be the comfort, but kind of the boringness, which we mentioned in a lot of videos. Carlsbad is kind of boring. If you want action, you're moving to other places. I was reading some Reddit threads. People are like, there's nothing to do here. Obviously, there's hiking. Obviously, you got kids. There's a ton of parks. There's some of the best parks in North County. There's the beaches. There is plenty to do. But if you want a little more action, you want a little bit more nightlife, there's definitely, especially where we're standing, it's quiet. It's suburbs. It's just not that kind of high exciting vibe that you find it elsewhere in other cities.
Next up, you will see this very quickly if you were out here exploring, trying to see if you want to move to Carlsbad. It is the e-bike anarchy that has become most of North County, most of parts of San Diego, but Carlsbad specifically, you will see e-bikes everywhere. It's kids on e-bikes, it's adults on e-bikes. It is e-bike chaos. Nobody really knows what they're doing on an e-bike, not following actual rules.
Well, they do. They're like in the bike lane, but then they're in the normal lane, and then they're like doing wheelies, and they're
faster than regular bikes.
We're the old men complaining, but
yeah. But it is, and it's one of those things. If you are moving here and you are going to be an e-bike ride away from the beach, that's awesome. Just be safe out there. I mean, that's the big thing. And just we have a lot of friends that have their kids have e-bikes yet. We have not pulled the trigger. Our kids are actually not that excited about it, so it's a bonus for us. But teaching your kids the rules of the road is kind of one of those major things. And we might see in Carlsbad, some of the other cities have started to implement some courses for people that don't have a driver's license to learn how to ride their e-bike safely.
Yeah, and other regulations and stuff, so we'll keep an eye on that. And the next bonus is which part of Carlsbad is this confusion. If you're looking around, you're going to get confused. There's 4 different zip codes. There's how many different master plan communities? Guess.
Lots. 10, 12,
There's
14.
like, in one of the videos we did all La Costa. There's like 37 different La Costas area. La Costa Oaks, La Costa Oaks North, La Costa Oaks South, Old La Costa Greens, La Costa Met, whatever. There's a lot. Then you have Aviara. There's some other San Pacifico, some other little neighborhoods. There's Old Carlsbad. Where is that? There's Calavera Hills. There's the Foothills, Robertson Ranch. There's ton of different places, right? There's some other newer communities. There's some beach, whatever. There's a lot. So it's like, where am I? Where do I want to live? And I think that's one of the most important things that you need to reach out to us for, is to help you dial in. What are you looking for? Are you looking for schools? Are you looking for walkability? Are you looking for e-bike ability? Maybe you do have an e-bike. You want to get down to the coast pretty quick. Are you looking for outdoors, like hiking? What are you looking for? And we would love to help you figure that out and earn your business. I'm Chris Erickson. We got Cassie Lewis. We're the Livin in San Diego crew, and we got your back when making the move here to San Diego.